Hey everybody, Amy Wood with 7 News, and we are bringing you interviews with the candidates. There are 9 people running for the sheriff in Spartanburg County, and one of them is joining us today. That is Rusty Clevenger. We're going to welcome him on screen. Rusty Clevenger, the coroner of Spartanburg County currently. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we have got a big round of candidates. We've got lots of questions because we're going to spend the next 20 minutes or so chatting it up here, learning more about you, why you're running for office, this new office. And you are unique to the others because you are holding a current public office, Rusty. So let's talk a little bit about how you have been our coroner and now you want to be the sheriff.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say thanks to everyone that's been voting for me since 2008 and the confidence they've put in me to be their coroner. Right now we're in a unique situation that I believe my career and education and experience has brought me to this point where we've got a definite need in my skill set, and what I bring to the table is exactly why I'm here today. What's brought me here. Spartanburg has a need and I think I'm the one to fill it.
And talk about that, like why sheriff, why now?
Well, I started off as a road officer. I started off as a deputy in 1985.
Wow.
This coming August will be 40 years. From there, I worked my way up to narcotics and vice investigator. Then I went to work in the detective division where I worked my way up to homicide. I worked homicides and violent crimes for 5 years before leaving and going to the solicitor's office. There I was a criminal investigator. Essentially what we did there was we took the cases as they were submitted, see where there might be problems, identify those problems, and then try and help the detectives or whomever made the case make them stronger for prosecution if possible, looking for other evidence. There's kind of an expectation there. We know what the attorneys need for the prosecution on these cases, and essentially we're just trying to help victims out and make the cases stronger if we could. Then Trey Gowdy took over as solicitor in 2000. Right. He asked me to stay and do his investigations for him, which I did up until I left. Well, I didn't actually leave the solicitor's office. I was still employed there. But I went to an effort in the forensic division where we were trying to strengthen cases, and I worked there with the highway patrol, the sheriff's office, city police departments, and other agencies just to try and strengthen the cases, see if we could get a better understanding of forensics and try and apply that to court. And then that led to the current position that I'm in. When the previous coroner, Mr. Jim Burnett, left and I ran for that position, that's where I've been ever since.
And some might say, well, the sheriff and the coroner are such different jobs, but you've kind of been in that law enforcement path prior to coroner. And do you feel there are connections, or how do you feel about that?
Oh, there are definitely connections. The way South Carolina law is laid out, the coroner investigates alongside law enforcement, so that was something that intertwined. I always did joint investigations as a homicide detective with the police with the coroner's office, and it was just a good fit, and the citizens saw fit to elect me and believe in what I've been doing, and the rest is history.
And when you think back to the days where you were in the law enforcement, sort of in the moment of dealing with crime versus, as a coroner, you're usually arriving in the I guess law enforcement is arriving in the aftermath too. But what do you think about the differences in what you're doing when you arrive on a scene now as coroner versus what would be involved with supervising the sheriff's office?
No difference in my opinion. Okay. I know, the two jobs are supposed to be kept separate. That's for obvious reasons, to make sure that these deaths that we end up investigating, is just like it is with a highway patrol in a crash, or if a pedestrian struck, is the same difference. My skill set, again, I go back, I've taken accident reconstruction classes. I've done everything at all possible to educate myself. So if someone had a question, or if we had to do a forensic review on any one of these cases, that I would be well versed and be able to render a true verdict as far as it came to cause and manner of death, and that's what I've done.
And in your life, as you kind of explored the future of your prospects as coroner, perhaps running again, or now making this shift into the sheriff's role. Did you ever dream of this? I mean, was this ever sort of like in the back of your mind that this might be a next step for you?
Recently, I hadn't been thinking about it. Younger in my career, yes.
Wow.
I did contemplate that. Anybody that really loves the job like I do would probably think about that. And doing what I'm doing now, I love this job, but I believe I would love being sheriff even more, simply because I get to advocate for live victims, where right now in my current role, I only advocate for the deceased, and I could go into that a little more if permitted.
Sure.
I was able to testify in court several weeks ago regarding a child that had been beat almost to death.
Oh.
And the court allowed me to speak to them about the injuries and other factors that were involved in that case. And that was another reason that I knew that I could offer so much more, and that is to be able to advocate for live victims as well as the deceased. And as sheriff, I could do both.
What do you think about the current sheriff's department situation? What do you know about it, and how do you think you will have to lead to sort of carry it forward in a fresh, new leadership role?
Well, it's interesting you asked me that, because one of the first things I started doing was interviewing officers, speaking to these guys. And usually I'm with the investigators. I do meet with Uniform Patrol and the other specialists that are within the division or the department. I can tell you that in interviewing with the Uniform Patrol, these guys are so busy that they're running call to call to call. All they seem to think they're doing is filing reports and going to another call. I believe part of that is they're about 10 officers short per platoon in Uniform Patrol, which is problematic. They are able to cover the calls, as big as Spartanburg is, they are able to cover the calls, but they're not getting to do any public interaction. And with that, I mean they're not able to stop if you're cutting grass and just say, hey, is there something that I need to know about that's going on in our community? Or stopping at a private business and talking to a private business owner and asking them, are they having problems? Is there something in their in front of their business or affecting their business that the sheriff's office can help them with? And a lot of them are telling me they feel a little disenfranchised simply because they're not able to do that presently, and a lot of it has to do with the shortage. I'm looking at a plan to try and alleviate that, but I will tell you that I don't think that's going to be something that will be very quick to fix. It's going to take an amount of time to hire and train some quality officers to be able to fill those spots and kind of ease the it's not tension, but ease the officer's ability to do some criminal apprehension, look for the drunk drivers or somebody that's on our road driving erratically, and another portion of that plays into part simply because Spartanburg's got the deadliest roads in South Carolina right now. We don't have enough troopers to be able to watch the back roads and everything that encompasses all the roads in Spartanburg County. So I think the deputies would be a big help in trying to alleviate or at least cut down on the amount of road deaths that we're having currently.
And you've talked about the shortage, right? That there are fewer deputies than are needed, fewer
Correct.
troopers than are needed.
Correct.
But this has been a retention problem, right? I mean, people have come
Correct.
into law enforcement and then they leave, or they jump to the next county that pays more, et cetera, et cetera. Well, what do you plan to do to try to fight that flight problem that happens where you just can't keep them?
It's a multifaceted approach, in my opinion. Of course, we've got to pay our deputies a decent working salary. And if you compare what has gone on in the last month with Greenville County giving their deputies a 6% raise at a rate where they were already ahead of our deputies whenever it came to their amount of pay, certainly you're going to have those that are going to go there because they have to feed their families and have to pay their bills. But I believe if we can get the rate of pay for the deputies up and also make policing fun to these guys, and if they have some stake in Spartanburg County, and what I mean by that, if they were raised here, or if they have a connection here, they're more likely to stay. And certainly if they're happy in their job, they're supported by their supervisors and the sheriff himself. Because let's just be honest, the deputies on the road are the ones doing the heavy lifting. I always realized that whenever I was on the road, whenever I was a detective, I realized that was a responsibility I took on. There are some fine people that still work within the walls of our Spartanburg Sheriff's Office. All they need is someone to believe in them. I believe the current sheriff is doing the same thing, but all they need is someone to believe in them, to make sure they're getting the right training, a decent pay, and a decent way to do their job, where they're not just running call to call to call, and they actually get to look after the public like they took an oath to do.
And you mentioned the word fun. You said
yes,
putting some fun back in law enforcement. Describe that. What does that mean? What does that look like?
Well, every day I've gone to work, it's never been a job for me. I have always enjoyed serving the public. I grew up in a public service family. My father was a minister. My brother has taken the same path. He worked at the sheriff's office about the same amount of time I did. My brother was a training sergeant. And through our careers, we went different paths. He was in training. I was more of the detective. I've done some training afterwards, but long and short, when you're in public service, if you truly love your job, it's not a job. It's something you enjoy doing every day. And I get to help people in whatever capacity, day in and day out. But I know as the sheriff, I could pass that love on to the people that work under me, and I believe Spartanburg would be the better for it.
The former sheriff, Chuck Wright, had Operation Rolling Thunder. It was this effort to catch folks doing bad things on the highways. They brought in other agencies. You probably are familiar with it. The current interim...
I need to cough.
Oh, go right ahead.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
We'll try to make an edit out of that. I'm not sure if we can, but we will try. But no worries, because we are in that allergy season.
Yes, ma'am.
For sure. But let's talk a little bit about Operation Rolling Thunder, and just in terms of the former sheriff having that program, and then the interim sheriff who's there right now until the next sheriff is elected, taking that program away. Do you agree with that decision?
Well, certainly he's the sheriff now. The previous sheriff made a decision. Our current sheriff has made that decision. If you're asking me what
would you do?
What would I do? I can tell you that the sheriff has a traffic division, and many of them are capable of doing drug interdiction on our highways. I will tell you that drug interdiction, because we have a major thoroughfare 2 running through our county, we are a pivot point for the drugs that are flowing between Charlotte and Atlanta. I would say that the traffic division needs to spend part of their time doing interdiction on our highways, and the other part of their time watching our back roads and roads to make sure that people are driving safely. The program itself was very beneficial. I will tell you that I had spoke to the officers before they went out and did these, and let them know, because in the height of some of what we had going on right after COVID, our fentanyl rate was through the roof. We had a number of people dying, so much so that I called the sheriff and the solicitor together and told them that there need to be some kind of effort to try and pin down the drug dealers that were peddling the fentanyl and the opioids to the people that were passing away. I can tell you that that effort included narcotics investigators working alongside my investigators and myself to try and find out who the drug dealers were and effect an arrest, or at least get an open investigation on the source of where these drugs were coming from. We were successful in a couple of cases, not as many as I've liked, but there was a success rate there. And I can tell you now, at the height of, right after COVID, we had a double problem, and that was the COVID death rate and also the drug death rate. It had my office running in several different directions, but because I appreciate the people that are working for me, we were able to work that out. We worked hard, but we're also able to serve the families we needed to be serving. And I can tell you that the drug rate is way down. The opioid or fentanyl drug rate, death rate, is way down from what it was years ago.
So would you continue Operation Rolling Thunder? Would you want to take a look at the program, or is it something you would rule out? Or What do you
Well, I would certainly want to look at it. I want to make sure it's cost effective. I know we're talking about, council's concern with the budget as it relates to the sheriff. And what I want to do is, I've always taken the stance, I'm spending your money whenever I'm in public office. And I take the stance, I spend your money like I spend mine, and if you ask anybody, I'm tight. So I'm going to spend your money the best way I know how to make sure it's effective, and I would want to study and look at that before I make a final decision. I see the merit in that program, but I also want to make sure that things are being followed, procedures as far as the forfeitures, the court, everything considered. I'd want to take a hard look at that before I made a hard decision on whether we would or would not.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more with candidate for sheriff Rusty Clevenger, our current county coroner. And welcome back in. We've got Rusty Clevenger with us, who's running for sheriff in Spartanburg County. 9 candidates running. And let's talk about the office. It's a powerful office. And we've seen around the state issues and problems with sheriffs abusing their power. And we want to know from you and all the rest of the candidates as we meet with them, what will you do to reassure people that there will be no abuse of power under a Sheriff Clevenger?
Okay, so I wield, not as much power as the sheriff, but I wield an immense specialty and power, I guess you could say. I have a system of personal checks and balances that I make sure I apply day in and day out. One of those was, and I know there have been some questions about funding and whatnot, I do not have a county credit card. My office does, and the office administrator is the one that handles all the purchases and whatnot. I'm very careful, again, I've already spoke about spending your money, but I'm also very careful about how it's spent and who spends it. And the accountability of that. So that handles, the money portion of that. I will tell you that I usually put my people before myself. The vehicle that I'm issued is much older than many of the ones that my investigators drive, simply because I want to make sure that they've got the ability to get to the calls wherever someone's passed away. And then, we've got hurting families and whatnot. I want to make sure that they're taken care of. So I guess servant leadership has a lot to do with it, and that is making sure that Spartanburg's taken care of before others. And if I'm providing a service, I want to make sure they get that service as quickly as they can. And I think my approach through the years speaks for itself about keeping myself in check and making sure that we're doing what's right. We're also making sure that the teamwork we have with the agencies that we deal with, the city police department, sheriff's department, everybody else, it'll be the same with that. I do want to reach out and strengthen some bridges with a number of agencies within Spartanburg County and even outside of Spartanburg County to make sure that the service we offer as the sheriff's office would be the best in the state.
And when it comes to messages for deputies, they've been through a lot in this department of late. So what is your message to them? Because they vote too.
Hold on. If you have any doubt in my ability or have any doubt that I'm not genuine when I tell you this, ask the people that work for me. Ask the people that have worked around me all these years. Help can be on the way. I'm doing what I can to get elected so we can, again, try and make policing fun and let you realize that this isn't just a job. It definitely can be a career. I just need you to hold on and let's see if we can get through the primary and possibly a runoff.
And when it comes to the Sheriff's Department budget, what do you know about that budget, and how do you think it aligns with the vision you have for the department?
Well, currently, again, until you really get into the, I requested the budget, but I have not received it yet, so I'm a little ill prepared. Not because I haven't requested, I just don't have the facts to be able to answer that. But again, I run my budget tight. I know my budget is much smaller than the sheriff's office. But I believe in looking at my budget, if anybody'd like to look at it, I know we reported it on the Spartanburg County Coroner's website. We were under budget last year. We're doing everything we can to provide the best service possible and to stay within our budgetary requirements as needed. But I can't answer specifically simply because I haven't been able to get my hands on the information as of yet.
No, completely understand that, sir. What about top 3 safety issues facing the county? What do you see those as being?
Well, again, when we get back to the deputies on the road and are able to do some patrolling, that's always, something that runs the criminal off whenever they see, especially the marked vehicles or even the unmarked vehicles patrolling and looking at buildings and neighborhoods. That's always a deterrent for a criminal to be around, and that's something I'd like to see. That's something I was able to do as a younger deputy, and I got a lot of good positive feedback from that, from just being seen in the community. And then if there's someone strange in the neighborhood, stop and talk to this individual, find out what's going on, speak to the neighbors in the neighborhood, find out what may be happening. So you've got everything from a deterrent from loitering to burglary to something that may even be worse than that. So again, the visual aspect of the deputy being present in our communities is a big help as far as the factor in safety that I believe most Spartanburg County residents have come to enjoy, and making sure that's taken care of. 2, our roads, I've already mentioned that. Our roads are an extreme danger to the people motoring on our roads. I'm extremely cautious. We've got a program now that's in the high schools that is teaching our young students the dangers of distracted driving. A lot of people don't think about that, but I've got an instructor in the high schools, would be in every high school starting this fall, to try and educate, which augments the driving courses they're already taking. We're going to augment that and see if we can catch them at an early age, and what I'm calling a Hearts and Minds campaign. A lot of that has to do with giving them the knowledge that it takes to know how much distance they cover at 55 miles an hour if they're driving 3 seconds without looking at the road, and how dangerous that can be. And then the third factor, of course, not necessarily in order, but is the drug problem. We still got some of our residents dying from fentanyl overdoses and opioid overdoses. I believe education is another big piece to that. But once someone gets addicted, it's one of the worst diseases someone could experience, and they get to where it's kind of hopeless. They live from pill to pill or injection to injection, whatever they've got. There is hope out here, and we certainly hope that the treatment centers and the people that want the help can get the help, and there are programs that I'm looking into as well that are effective. I went and toured the Evans Training Center the other day. That's a program that takes people that are in jail that may have had a drug problem, and it brings them into a work program where they actually study. It's Christian based. They study there, they go out and work hard, and I've seen a number of success stories with those. Faith Home is another group, and there are a number of other groups within Spartanburg County or in South Carolina that offer help that I'd like to see, that people want to turn their lives around, that we can get that happening for them.
And let's talk about the first priority. So if you think about, I'm walking in the door, and day number 1, first priority will be, as we kind of wind down here with about a minute and a half left, what is going to be a Sheriff Clevenger's first priority?
Well, first thing we're going to do is have a meeting with the deputies, and I'm going to reiterate what I'm stating here, that Spartanburg is a great place to live, to work, to raise a family. And once we take stake in that, and we understand that I am, as the sheriff, going to make sure that we try and hire good quality people that want to stay in Spartanburg. We're going to try and get them a good quality salary that they can raise a family on. And then we're going to go work hard, and I'm not going to just ask them to do it. I'm going to work hard myself to make sure that they feel safe and secure in their job, as long as they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, their heart's in the right place, and they work hard, they've got a boss man that's going to back them up. And in the community, should be reassured that the work I've done for almost 40 years for this county will be, what I back up against and say, I'm just going to ask you to trust me when you vote for me, because that's what I'm going to offer Spartanburg, is a renewed sense of purpose whenever it comes to serving the public and helping the people that really need our help the most.
Rusty Clevenger, sheriff's candidate, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you being part of this Meet the Candidates episode.
Thank you.